with sometimes public sector undertakings, there's always inefficiencies in the system. I know of 2 cases where even if you have deposited earnest money, to get back that money can sometimes take as much as 4 or 5 months, even if your tender hasn't been successful. I'm sure some of the others have experienced this. There's also cases where return of the performance guarantees get held up. I know of one particular case where it's been held up for almost about 3 years, and there's still amounts due of about 1 crore of rupees, maybe not a very big money for government, very large public sector undertakings as well as government authorities. I'm not naming them here, but these are sort of things which are very much part of what Sinjan Gould said. I say this as a comment, and I think it still needs to, it's probably a change of culture.
Removing the touch points, the PM has categorically said, whatever clearances are not required, just remove them. The approvals, the clearances which are just not required, the documents, the NOCs not required, just eliminate them. So first 3 months we worked on eliminating all those processes, all those whatever is mandatory, which was actually not required. In some cases, I won't name that state or that authority. 18 NOCs were required for a permission, and now it is reduced to 5. And it took us only 3 hours to decide to get rid of which NOC. So see the amount of job that has been done, and all that is working in that direction. But of course, a change in culture is required.
So the 3 questions for now. I'll just repeat them. One is the role of the central government in ease of doing business. The second was relevance of startup mission for ease of doing business. And the third, which is broken up into 2 parts, is can we use Aadhaar for UKIBC, and can we have clear policies on tower infrastructure?
I had mentioned in my introductory remarks that we had specific action point for the states. The workshop on Make in India also involved action point for the states. All the chief secretaries and principal secretary industries, along with around 200 industry members, participated in that workshop for this on this subject, ease of doing business, with the states. And the 98 action points were devised for the states, which were circulated, which was followed by 285 questions, specific questions on which they have to say yes or no or not applicable in the state, and they have to submit the notification as a proof that they have implemented the reform. That we have done, and we are driving it. It also includes the local bodies for building permissions, for construction permits. The local bodies are also there. We have also prepared a model business building bylaw, which is done by the central government, which has been circulated to all the states. A workshop was also done. All stakeholder consultation has been done, and it has been circulated. We are working that the state adopt that bylaw, and in which timelines are specified for each activity for all local bodies, everyone. So we are working on that direction, and the states have really worked hard on construction permits, on all parameters for which where the states are involved, on the pollution control board, for every authority. And we are working maybe in the maybe by next year or maybe in next 2 years, I'm sure that most of the states will complete all the action points on which they have to act. On the startup mission, actually I am in charge of the startup mission personally, and we have started working on it for the last 3 months. We are devising the whole ecosystem for startups in the country, starting from tapping a startup idea to linkage with industry and the institutes of excellence, how to link them up industry, incubations, the mentoring aspect, funding of startups, the IPR issues, scaling of startups, the hand-holding, the marketing support, all on the whole ecosystem we are working, and we hope to complete this project by November. And we have done many rounds of consultations with successful startups, with institutes, with IITs, IIMs, other institutes, and a group of experts are working on that. We have a few young IAS probationers also who are working on this project. it's not only it's also will also cover ease of doing business for startups. We are not only considering the model of ease of doing business, we are discussing on a pre-regulatory mechanism where a startup we are yet to define, because we wanted to concentrate on manufacturing startups, but yes, the component of innovation has to be there. What else has to be there? But we want a pre-regulatory mechanism for startups, wherein startup won't need any approvals. Maybe for registrations, for the other approvals to start a business, and a very simplified processes for compliance for the next 3 years or maybe 5 years, or till it reaches a particular turnover. We are working on that also, and hopefully we'll find out a solution on that. On the towers, and actually I was not clear whether you want to ease the process of eKYC, or make Aadhaar registration mandatory.
There is no process as such for linking it up, so we need to get that implemented.
Yes. So both these I'll take it up with the concerned department, with IT and with the telecommunication ministry, and also. Yes, please send me, and we'll take both the issues up. And I'm surprised why it's not in place when the Prime Minister is giving us it's such a big thrust. And we'll take it up. I'll also take it up with the PMO.
In the end, as a UK representative, I'm focused on supporting British business. But the main benefit of improving the ease of doing business environment is for domestic business. And if we look, obviously, as a country, you look to be competitive in attracting international investment. So it's very nice for the UK to be able to say to international investors that we are number 8 in the World Bank ratings. But if we improve the ease, for example, of connecting power in a facility somewhere in the UK, the main benefit of that is going to be British companies in the UK, and particularly I think that applies to startups. So I think it's excellent that there's a startup initiative and that that is seen as overlapping with ease of doing business, because India's kind of ecosystem of entrepreneurialism will really flourish if the ease of doing business environment benefits domestic business as well as international business, which I think it will.
Thank you. Amit Tulsian, KPMG London. Wanted your thoughts on some fantastic work UK government is doing is around helping international companies come into UK, especially small and medium, through providing knowledge about the sector, place, which universities have the kind of skills you need so that you know the catchment area, etc. Is there any such help that the Indian government is providing to foreign companies coming in? I know there are organizations like UKIBC, etc., trying to help in some ways for companies from their region, but is there an equivalent of UKTI in India?
Actually, our Prime Minister's vision is very clear. This Invest India, the role he has defined for Invest India is, it's a non-for-profit company in which Government of India and FICCI have shares. It says whenever there is a foreign investor, you should receive that investor at the airport and see him off at the airport, him or her off at the airport. You should see that he is very comfortable, he gets all the appointments with the concerned ministry, state governments. Escort him or her if he wants to go to some state government to see some land, and then see that he is able to make all the application, get all the clearances, everything. So all hand-holding, everything has to be done by Invest India, which it's doing reasonably well. They are augmenting the resources, and now they are around 12 persons there, and they are doing quite well. But yes, we should learn more from UKT and see what more can be done. On the best brains joining the government, I'm not in favor of that, because I was the last in my class. There were 61 students. I always stood 61st. I never was 60, because the gap between the 60th student and me was more than 10 to 12 percentage points, which I knew I couldn't bridge. So the best the best brains of Bihar, my original state, came to that college. These 61 were the top of Bihar. I'm considering myself also within the 61, and 55 used to go to the IITs, and 5 or 6 who didn't join the IIT because they want to be in the IAS. so they didn't go appear in the exam because they thought they are IAS material and they will make it. And most of them used to make it. Maybe barring someone who had a bad time when he was writing the exam, so maybe he took more than a year to come into the IAS. So the best should not. I mean, in my batch in 1988, more than 60% people came from the IITs in the IAS. We thought that they shouldn't join the IAS. The IAS is for mediocres like us, generalists who can just take everyone along, get the good things, implement that. It's more about policy and implementation. And we don't do something wonderful or which should be left to the best brains who go to the private sector, have their own ventures, and they should really guide us, and then we should drive their ideas and make it reach out to the people. That's all. So I don't subscribe to this idea.
So on UKTI, I think that, let's be clear. The UK system, we've spent a lot of money on it, and it's not perfect. And it's a high investment strategy to invest that amount of effort and money in supporting investment into your country. We continue to look at ways of improving it and getting value for money. We're obviously very happy to share our experience with India, but I don't think it's necessarily a perfect model. I mean, Patricia was responsible for it a while ago. We've always been looking at different ways of doing it, and the basic point is, if you're going to compete for investment, you can't find a model and stick with it. You need to continue to change the way in which you do it, because the investment market changes constantly, and I think the things that we needed 10 or 15 years ago, we don't need now. So I would encourage, as India develops its capability to attract investment, to remain nimble and alert and do the things that it needs to do.
I think it's extremely heartening. I've been fortunate enough to be part of the journey along with Mr. Singh. And the response that has come in from the state governments, the excitement that is there to make the change, the absolute exuberance that has been exhibited in taking the baton forward in ease of doing business is very, very heartening. So I can guarantee you from my personal experience in working closely with Mr. Singh that change is happening, and it's happening at a very, very fast pace. I would like to thank Mr. Singh for taking out his time on a weekend and spending and sharing his views with us. And Sanjang Gold, thank you for taking out the time and helping us out over here. And thank you everyone for being here and adding to the conversation and the richness of the conversation today. Thank you.